I'm Anne.
And I'm Monica, and this is the episode where we fall in love with the God of Thunder. Ooh. I mean, you know what? That actually kind of works.
Bars.
That kind of works considering
because
the movie.
She said all the titles, I think, together in a sentence. And
I didn't say Thor, but
oh, you didn't? Oh, okay.
We fall in love. Or maybe the God of Thunder falls in love. I don't know. Anyways, hello everybody.
Hello.
Clearly it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little rusty. I feel like we say this all the time though. We keep having like long gaps between episodes, but you know what, people? We are adults now. So we have adult.
We weren't before.
No, we weren't.
Yeah.
So we have adult responsibilities that we have to tend to. So you know, the podcast being on such a rigid schedule. Remember the times we did it once a week? I don't know her.
Sis.
I don't know her anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, welcome back to the podcast. If you're with us, thank you for sticking with us as usual.
Yes, you're an angel.
Yeah, we love you. And yeah, so this is of course another episode of Roasting Movies by the Fire. And I think it's just become our tradition now to just do all the Marvel movies, I guess.
Yeah.
It's fun. We watch
running
them.
out of movies, so
yeah.
we're like, we cannot exclude these. We were
For
trying
sure.
to do it for mostly let's not lie. At the time where we started, Marvel was like critically acclaimed. Like it was at its peak with like Infinity War and stuff. So we're like, there's no way we're going to roast those movies, but they've given us stuff to roast now.
Yeah, now I feel like there's more things to talk about. Also, I guess around Infinity War, I wasn't really into Marvel at that time, so.
Oh yeah, you weren't into it too.
Now I'm keeping up with the Marvels.
With
so
the Kardashian.
Yeah. Same thing. But yeah, so anyways, I feel like it's always just a safe bet to talk about the Marvel movies, especially because we usually tend to see them right after they come out. So yeah, here we are doing the latest installment, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah,
which was actually one of my most anticipated movies of the year.
Oh, I guess me too.
Like, yeah, actually, Multiverse of Madness is my most anticipated, and we all know how that went. So after that, I was like, okay, Thor better pull through, or else I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself.
Yeah, for me, it was Thor. I was not a big Doctor Strange, and I wasn't looking too much into the theories behind his film in general, so I didn't have that much hype. So it was me. It was Spider-Man. I have to say that.
Oh well, yeah, that was last year, but yeah.
And Thor, those two. Oh yeah, technically last year. But yeah.
I was just more excited to see Wanda again because, you know, me and I love WandaVision. So, but yeah. Anyways, so yeah, today we're going to be talking about Thor: Love and Thunder, which we both watched and have thoughts on. We don't know each other's thoughts on it.
Yeah, I have no idea
I have no idea what you're going to say, but I'm worried that I do know. I'm worried.
You think so?
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to disagree.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I'll be surprised if we agree.
I don't have strong enough feelings to think that I'll really disagree or agree. I think, but I don't know. We'll see.
I'm
excited though. So
I'm nervous. I'm always nervous for
I just don't
because your reasons are always more logical than mine. So I'm always like, dang it, you know, you're right, but I can't even I don't agree, but you're right. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
So
interesting. But yeah, you know what? Let's just go into the recap and then
let's start with the recap.
We don't want to keep the suspense for you guys, so let's just
we'll see how it goes. Okay, anyways. Yeah, as usual, I'll go through a little recap of the movie in case you watched it. Maybe you watched it a week ago and maybe you're like me and I kind of forgot what happened, to be honest. Yeah. But so you need a little refresher. So let me set the scene for you. Okay, the last time we saw Thor, it was after it was Avengers Endgame, right? And they established the town of New Asgard in somewhere in Scandinavia. I think it's like Norway or something like that. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. Where did you think
it was?
Like
some random coast. I don't know.
No, I think when they first showed New Asgard, they showed like the original town sign. I think it was like Finland or Norway or something, and then after that, the sign said like entering New Asgard. So it was like to show that they took over that town. Anyways, so we actually start our movie out by immediately meeting the villain, who is Gore.
True, yeah.
Played by Christian Bale. Kind of unrecognizable, to be honest. But
it was so cool, like the effects they put on his face.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Cool. So, we meet our villain, Gore. He's with his daughter, whose name is Love. I actually did not know that until I read the description, until I it made a lot of things made sense after I realized that.
Well, yeah, it was it wasn't like obvious though. I don't think they purposely
no, I forgot.
kept it ominous at the beginning.
No,
of the
I
film.
think I just totally missed it. But anyways, so they're in this like barren wasteland, and they're like starving on the brink of death, etc. And his daughter dies like in his arms. But Gore is like really like worshiping. They had like his people, they have like a god or whatever, and he's like really like dedicated to that god. And then he ends up being led to the god through like this forest or whatever, and the god turns out to be like an asshole and tries to kill Gore. He's like, you human, whatever,
human scum peasant.
Yeah, and Gore's like, what the heck, I look up to you, what do you mean, I'm praying to you. And he's like, okay, and so yeah, he is like an asshole. So then he actually tries to kill Gore. He's like about to like strangle him, but then this thing called the necro sword, which is like this like black sword of death monster type of thing, like is like drawn to Gore and like puts itself into his hand, so then he kills the god. And then he gains these like powers from the sword, because the sword is kind of like the dark hole in which it like corrupts whoever wields it. Yes. So then it kind of corrupts him, and he vows to kill all the gods because he's like, I'm so betrayed or whatever, right? So yeah, that's we just get introduced to that right away. Very interesting. So yeah, and meanwhile, the Thor and the Guardians are like helping people out. They're going on missions. They're, you know, helping the local people of different planets fight their battles. And then the Guardians leave. He's like, yeah, we're good. Like, you guys go help. I gotta deal with my shit in Asgard, because he hears that the God Butcher is coming to get them and coming to Asgard.
Yep.
He hears this from like Sif or whatever, who got attacked. Anyways. Also, meanwhile, we catch up with Jane Foster, who we haven't seen in a while, not since Thor 2, because she did not come back for Thor number 4, which I guess made sense because they were doing some crazy shit in Thor Ragnarok. Like, I don't know where she would have fit in there anyways.
3? Yes, but yes.
3, sorry.
Yeah.
In Thor Ragnarok, I don't know where she would have even fit in. But anyways, yeah, now we catch up with her, and she has terminal cancer, like really bad cancer, like about to die Stage cancer.
4, she's done.
Yeah, and she is like doing some research and trying to figure out how to make herself better, and she realizes that maybe Mjolnir, who's like the hammer, could help her heal, because apparently whatever god wields it like gets health and stuff. So she's like, that makes sense, let me go grab it. Let me go get it. So then she goes to New Asgard to get it, and it's all broken right from when Hela broke it. So it's like in this little display, and then when she gets to it, it starts like glowing and floating and shit or whatever. And it actually ends up bonding with her because Thor accidentally put like an enchantment on it to protect her anyway. So that turns her into the mighty Thor, which is like just basically Thor version 2, whatever, right?
Yeah.
With the same outfit and everything. So Gore comes and attacks New Asgard, and Thor is like super shocked. He's like, oh my god, Jane, what the heck? And it's like super awkward because it's like their ex. Yeah. It's like his ex, right? And he sees Mjolnir, who is like his ex hammer, right? And it's like there's this running gag where the axe is like super jealous of the hammer because Thor treats the hammer like an actual ex, where he's like, hey, so like, how have you been? Like, he talks to the hammer as if it's like an ex-girlfriend or whatever. So that's like a running gag throughout the movie. And it's like interesting because his ex is wielding his ex hammer, you know what I mean? So
that's funny.
Yeah, so it's awkward all around. So yeah, Gore is attacking New Asgard, whatever. Jane and Valkyrie and everyone is like helping fight, and Gore kidnaps a bunch of like Asgardian kids and traps them in the Shadow Realm. Who knows why? I guess they kind of like subdued him, and he's like, okay, cool, I'm taking the kids. So Thor, Valkyrie, Jane, and Korg need to like save them. So they find out that they're stuck in the Shadow Realm, whatever, from Heimdall's son. But first they make a stop at the Omnipotence City. Omnipotence? I forgot how they pronounced it. Omnipotence City, to get help from Zeus, because that's where Zeus lives, apparently, not on Mount Olympus anymore. And he has all like the gods there, whatever. And then they try to like get his help, and they say like, yo, the god butcher's coming, he's gonna kill all of us. But Zeus isn't also an asshole and does not want to help. He's like, I'm just trying to have an orgy. So Zeus tries to kill them. He's like, yeah, I don't like you anymore, get out of my face, and tries to kill them so that they can't reveal the location of Omnipotence City to Gore, so he doesn't come. Korg's body gets destroyed, but his face is like fine. But yeah, he basically like only has a face now. And eventually they manage to like impale Zeus, and they steal his thunderbolt, and like, we can use this at least. If nobody wants to help us, we'll use your thunderbolt. And then during their quest, obviously Thor and Jane rekindle their romantic relationship. We also find out like why they broke up. They like kind of retroactively filled in the gaps as to why they had to why she didn't show up, basically, is because they broke up. Basically like very basic relationship breakup, like nothing crazy at all, like just like a regular couple. So yeah, they rekindle their relationship on this quest. They realize that they love each other and that like they make each other really happy, etc., etc. And during this whole time,
tells him,
tells him what?
Cancer.
Oh, that she has cancer. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that.
Before,
But yeah, the whole like this, there's like a theme where Thor is trying to kind of find himself and find what makes him happy. Like someone gave him the advice of like it's better to be like sad than to feel nothing or something. So he's like, even if this relationship will make me sad, it's better than feeling empty, which is what I felt after you left me, that kind of thing. So yeah, they get to the Shadow Realm, but the kids aren't there, and they realize it's like a trap. And Gore is actually trying to steal Stormbreaker, the axe, so that he can use it to get to like the realm of eternity. And eternity is like this being that can grant like any wish or whatever. So they have this like super cool like slow motion black and white battle on the Shadow Realm, which kind of looks like the moon or something. And then Gore ends up stealing the axe and leaves. So then Jane is being like super drained of her health by Mjolnir, because every time she uses it, it like drains her energy or whatever, and it's like progressing her illness like faster. So she keeps using it, like, and being Thor, it'll kill her. So like Thor's like, nah, you need to go back to Earth, and like you need to rest. Like you can't do this, you're literally gonna die. So Thor decides to go after Gore by himself. He finds the kids, he gives them like a little motivational speech, and like temporarily grants them like power so that they can fight the monsters, like help him fight, because the Necrosword produces monsters, right? So they fight the monster so that Thor can go to Gore, who's trying to summon like the portal to get to eternity. And Thor's like about to be killed by Gore because he can't do it, whatever. But then Jane comes in at the last minute and like saves him as the other Thor, and basically sacrificing herself since she knows that after doing this, like she'll die because like she's using the power. But they destroy the Necrosword. They like break it into a bunch of pieces. So Gore is no longer like corrupted by it anymore. But the portal to eternity was already open, so they all kind of get sucked through. So they're into the realm, and Thor asks Gore to ask eternity to revive his daughter instead of wishing for all the gods to be destroyed, because that was his like ultimate plan, is to ask for like to go to eternity so he can wish that all the gods can be destroyed. So he's like, please just, why don't you revive your daughter so you can right this wrong instead of asking for the gods to be destroyed. And then like in the meantime, Jane like dies in Thor's arms, and they have like a really romantic like sad moment, and Gore watches this happen, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll revive my daughter. And also by wielding the Necrosword, Gore was destined to die regardless. So after the daughter is revived, he asks Thor to take care of her, and then he dies because that was like the curse of the sword or whatever. So then all is good after that. Korg's body is restored somehow, and he like starts a family. Jane is dead, so she's like, they put up like a statue of her in Asgard. Valkyrie and like Sif starts training all the kids to fight because they didn't know how to fight before. That's why Thor had to give them powers. And Thor adopts Love, who is the daughter, and they go on a bunch of like heroic adventures together. That's where Love and Thunder comes from, because at the end the narrator is like, Love and Thunder, and it's like super cool. Whatever.
Korg is the narrator.
Yeah, I love Korg. And Love is like wielding Mjolnir, and Thor is wielding like Stormbreaker. So they're like a cute little family. And then in the post-credit scene, Zeus, who is alive, obviously you can't really kill the gods like that, sends his son Hercules, who just shows up, to kill Thor. And then in the second post-credit scene, Jane ends up in Valhalla, which is like the heaven or whatever, and she meets Heimdall there, who like is like, thank you for saving my son, welcome. And that's it.
The
happily ever after. I tried to make that not very long.
I think you did a good job. Like
rambly. I was trying to make it very concise, because I feel like sometimes our recaps are a little long. But that's essentially what happens. So yeah, I guess we can jump right into things we liked, things we didn't like.
Yeah, things we didn't.
And I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first because Monica's been talking.
I've been talking.
So what I liked, I think that's the major like feeling of the whole film. I really, really liked the ending, which I feel like might be controversial. Apparently, I didn't think so.
Is it?
I thought the ending was so great.
Yeah.
That I was kind of, when I finished the ending, I was like, "Aw, you could have done XYZ for the whole beginning." Like, I really wanted to like change a lot of stuff that they did with the film, knowing how it would end. In my opinion.
Interesting.
So, but the ending. Maybe I'll put it in what I didn't like when I say that.
Okay.
But I will elaborate more later. Don't worry about it. So that's what I really like the ending. I love that Love is the little girl, and that's Love is I think that's super
Also,
cute.
fun fact: the Love is played by Chris Hemsworth's actual daughter.
Yeah, Chris
so
Hemsworth's real life daughter. So it's pretty.
That's
wild.
the only time I'll accept nepotism. If it's cute.
It's adorable. And also, apparently, which actually I won't say that because they'll go into the different next part. Whatever. What I also liked was the visuals. I thought they were really, really cool. Especially you mentioned the shadow fight. Just the whole
I wrote that
scene,
specifically.
Yeah,
I literally wrote visuals, especially the shadow realm.
Yeah, anytime they were on his planet, basically the whole thing was amazing, really cool.
It's so cool. Like the color, it's like kind of black and white, but not really. It's almost like you can tell the color is like drained.
Like saturation's down. It was really good.
It's like the black and white and like the cinematography on that whole scene. I was like,
so
damn,
cool.
This is gonna be I just watching it, I was like, I know this is gonna be like the highlight of like the visual aspect of it.
For sure. And I thought it was even cool that like when the goats got there, they like crashed into it, but like upside. I don't know how to explain how it happened.
It was like weird. It's like they're on a moon or something. That's what it looked like.
They like, so like you would thought they would crash like head on, but like the way they did it was like sideways. I don't even know how to explain that. Just you know what I'm saying if you saw it.
It was trippy.
Very trippy, but it was really, really cool. I loved like we talked about the costuming for Christian Bale.
Christian Bale did a really good job.
Really cool. The black teeth, disgusting but great. Like
he was one of like the creepiest looking like villains.
Ugh, with the yellow eyes. Oh my gosh, they really got him. Like it was scary looking. Not he wasn't like actually really scary. So I think those are like the biggest things I liked.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say my list for things I liked is short, not because like the film is bad or anything. It's just like a lot of the stuff that I thought was like is more in the things I didn't like, but it's like I don't know. I have a lot to elaborate on essentially, so I'll just let you go instead.
I'll just add a few things. So I had the same kind of things where I had like the visuals and the shadow realm and like Christian Bale, like the villain and stuff like that. This is like very specific, but the scene at the beginning, I loved the like when they did the play, like you know how they do the actors or whatever. Acting out. I love that because that was like one of the funny scenes from Ragnarok, right? So I love that they brought that back with Matt Damon, and then they had Melissa McCarthy playing Hela.
Yes, that was so good.
That was so good. I was literally like, oh my god, because it was like right at the beginning of the movie. And listen, I'd gone into this movie like people. This is a mistake, obviously. Like people who had watched it, and I was listening to what they were saying. Without, I should have not done that. I should have just went in without any preconception. But anyways, one of the things people were saying was like, oh my god, like the humor, like it's so not funny, like blah 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 blah. Which is like, okay, that's your opinion, whatever. But I was going into it thinking all the jokes were gonna be so stupid and whatever. But then when they had the play scene, I was like, okay. My hopes are a little higher because that was funny. The fact that they brought them back and then had Melissa McCarthy, I was like, okay, I'll ignore what I heard. But anyways, I'll allow it. But yeah, in general with the humor, again, like I was expecting the movie to be more like comedy-ish than other Marvel movies. Of course, it's Taika Waititi. That's just his style. Yes. And they even like they said from the beginning, this movie was supposed to be kind of more like a rom-com type of deal thing. So it's like I knew it was gonna be funny, and that's what we got. So it's like that was very like the expectations were there. And like I didn't mind the jokes. Like that's just, again, everyone has their own opinion. I can understand how you would not like something to be so funny, but like I thought they were gonna be way more like tired. But like I found the jokes hit most of the time. Even like they could have went really bad with those screaming goats. I swear to God. I saw them show up and I was gonna be like, oh my God. I thought it was gonna be so annoying. I thought they were gonna use that anytime they needed a punchline, but they didn't. I don't think they overused it. I think they only maybe had them as a joke like twice, maybe the whole movie.
Yeah, I think they overused it one time. Like there was probably 3. You're right. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
The third time I was like, it's good. But when they fell into when they crashed into the thing, completely normal for them to scream,
like
honestly.
I thought, I was so worried they were gonna overuse it. I was like, these goats are gonna be screaming every 20, like every other scene, and I'm gonna be like, okay, that's enough. But they didn't overuse it. Actually, I kind of forgot they were there most of the time, which is good because like that would be such a cheap thing to use as a joke. So I was like happy with that. And in general, I thought like, you know, the jokes made sense, especially for like the way it was established in Ragnarok, like, you know, that Thor is more of like a witty, funny character, which like is an interesting way to take his character. So I found the humor to be like pretty decent, like solid, right? And I appreciated like obviously I had to compare this movie a little bit to Multiverse of Madness because it was like the most recent one, but I found that when we were lacking so much character development in Multiverse of Madness, in fact, like character regression, as you explained in your video on YouTube that we should go watch if you haven't watched it, how the characters actually regressed. I found that this was kind of like the antithesis to that. I found that the characters, again, just me, I don't know about you, but I found that the characters actually did grow and learn and you know, move forward in this movie, which was nice to see. Yeah, like especially with Thor, like I liked how they gave him like a philosophical thing to be pondering throughout the movie, and then he gets to learn later on, you know, what makes him happy, that kind of thing. So I like that a lot. I like how they kind of stuck to that theme, and the theme is mostly about like love, right, where it's like finding something that you love, even like loving yourself, that kind of thing. I really like that theme. I thought it was a nice theme, and I think that's why maybe like the ending is one of the reasons why I like the ending. Was nice because it's like, you know, the way everything was resolved kind of like fits with the theme, you know. I
like that it wasn't like the obvious ending. Like I think the obvious ending technically would be like Jane like being
somehow
able to
gets
stay alive.
saved. Yeah, exactly.
And like he's with the love of his life. That was like I could,
that would have been the obvious way to go.
That would be obvious. When I got to the end, I could see it coming. Like I was like, when they were like, "Oh, she's not gonna be alone," I was like, "Oh, they're gonna like." But I still think they took it in a way that didn't make it as like.
Yeah, like it was still an interesting ending. It wasn't super like predictable, I guess. Like the predictable ending would have been like somehow they saved Jane and then whatever. But
yes, that would have
been, I like how it ended, because then it kind of, that was what made Thor like learn, where it was like, okay, you know, the whole thing where he said, I'd rather be sad than feel nothing. So it's like, yeah, he loved Jane. At least he got to admit to himself and to her that he still loved her, and then he lost her, which is sad, but now he actually feels things, right? And he actually has like he feels like he can have his emotions now, whereas before he just felt like numb. So I really like that. I think that made sense. And now he has this like adopted daughter that he can care for and whatever. So I liked it. I thought like the theme of love was very much like felt. Whereas like comparing to Multiverse of Madness, I thought like the overall message, which not every movie has to have a message, but the overall point was kind of lost after all of that. I was like, okay, and like, you know. And meanwhile, with this, it was like the opposite. I was like, okay, good. Like, you know,
and people who argue like, oh, not every movie has to have a message. That doesn't even work with Dr. whatever Multi, because they tried to have one and they didn't deliver.
Exactly.
That doesn't even work.
That's what I'm saying. So I found like it was just nice to have that comparison, because before that's mostly what was really lacking from Multiverse of Madness. I find that this movie did way better in terms of like character development, theme, that kind of thing. So I really like that.
I do agree with your sentiments. I do think the jokes didn't hit as much for me as like compared to like Ragnarok. I know that's like a big thing to compare it to, but it is this other movie. I don't know. I think like before Ragnarok was like an easy like laugh, versus Love and Thunder was kind of like like a little more of a chuckle rather than like a real laugh. But and I think it was like, I actually feel like because Thor didn't have a person to bounce off of as much as he did in Ragnarok, in my opinion. That's
because with Ragnarok he had Loki, right?
So. He had Loki, and he also had a Hulk, like, you know, like Hulk
was saying,
that's
like, a bunch true. Of actually, stuff. That's true.
And even
Valkyrie, he was the only funny one.
Yeah, he's the only funny one in this film. So it was a little...
Korg is funny, but not in a bounce-off kind of way. Korg is just like the things he says. He's not trying to be funny. He just says things that are funny. But yeah. Literally, no, I agree with that. That makes sense. I was wondering, like, what is it about it that's kind of different? But yeah, it's because he's kind of the only one making jokes.
Yeah, like Thor is the guy. And it's like, I don't expect him to hit and every single joke 100%. Like, I don't think anybody can do that. But if you have like other people to bounce off of, it's way easier, to get the punchline. But it didn't seem to, they didn't have that as much in this film, you know, which is like not like a big critique. It's just like a fact. Like, it's just like, this is what happened. But I guess we can go into what I didn't like, so we can have more of an open discussion of like how I feel, because I feel like I'm being super like holding my cards to my chest when it's like not even that serious. But okay, this is what made it hard for me to love the film. Like, I think the film was like good, not great. That's the way I would describe it, right? For me, I think it was hard for me still to connect to Jane as a character, like just overall, you know. I'm not gonna lie, I was never a fan of her in the first two films. I thought she was super forgettable. Like, I was like, nah, you can swap her with anybody and I wouldn't care. And I thought that was a big reason why they didn't put her in Ragnarok. Actually, I thought that was a big reason, because I think a lot of people. I know you weren't like in the MCU at that time. I don't like to say
Oh yeah, no,
that,
but I
you
do know
what
people
mean?
didn't like her.
Yeah, like people didn't like her. They found her like super like draining in the movies. Like she'd drag it down, and I think that's why they didn't put her in Ragnarok for real. Like I think that was part of the rebrand. Like they're like, okay, we're rebranding, and she was not part of it.
I think she knew that too, because I'm pretty sure also like
Yes.
she didn't want to come back. I think that's another reason why. Like I think they were still maybe gonna try to put her back, but she was like, nah, it's fine. But like I think her involvement in this one makes more sense. Like than
it does.
Ragnarok would have been so out of place. Like what
it wouldn't have made any sense. But I think even Taika wasn't like super into her being in the film either. He was like, I don't really know where I would put you, like you just said. So it was really like everybody involved was like, man, it's not making sense. And plus, they had already broken up before Ragnarok, so it wasn't even hard to not have her in the film. It like made complete sense.
See,
I also think he needed time to be back.
Yeah, and see, I will say though, like I think I would have like disliked her character more. This is really bad to say, I guess, but like,
sure,
if she had not died, I think it would have been like really bad.
I agreed with you.
Like, I'm glad that she died. Then it makes her character have a purpose.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Respectfully, I was like, and also at the end credit scene when she was at the heaven, I was like, please don't. I thought they were gonna revive
like
her.
She's actually alive. No,
Like,
but yeah,
sis.
I hear what you're saying. Like that's why I think like the one redeeming thing about her being there was that she died in the end, because it made sense after. Because it's like, okay, if not, like what, she was just like struggling and suffering all this time for her and Thor to have a happy ending. No, I think it was a good decision to make her die at the end.
And like to choose it by herself, like to be
yeah, exactly. Like that's why I'm like, I didn't hate her as much as I probably would have. Like I probably whatever, she's just there. But
no,
when she died, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, you know,
I don't hate her. This is my only problem with like her involvement in the film, right? My specific thing. She was in the film a lot, but I didn't actually learn anything new about her. Like at all, if you really think about it.
Except the fact that she has cancer.
Yes. Like she was let's be real, she was a vessel for cancer, and that's about it.
No, I agree. Like no, she's still kind of a boring character. So.
Yes, like we learned, and I thought Taika was gonna bring the sauce. Like because he said like in interviews, I watched a couple of interviews, like she was like Natalie Portman was talking about like, oh, what it means to be in like his types of movies and what his type of female characters look like. And I can testify to that, like from his films. I think he has like pretty interesting female characters. Like Valkyrie's really cool, even from Jojo Rabbit, like the mom, Scarlett Johansson's character, the mom, and even the Jewish girl who lives in the basement, don't forget her name, I'm so sorry. They're very like interesting characters. They like act a certain way, and I'm really like into the way that he writes women specifically. Like he has a certain flair to that, and I quite enjoy that. And I didn't think it was there with Jane 100%, right?
Yeah,
which is not a big deal. Like again, like she's dead, so
yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. I think at least she dies. So it's like, okay,
but it's whatever. Like the part, for example, where they showed her that her mom had cancer too. I was like, I don't need to know that to feel bad for her. Like I'm like, a person having cancer alone is sad enough. Like I don't really need you to be like, but also her mama died the same way. Like it didn't even connect at the end either. Like I thought they were gonna bring that back, like, oh, like my mom said to never stop fighting or something. Like I thought she was gonna mention it a little bit because I was like, why did we see that then? I don't know, it felt like a loose thread for no reason. That's just a small nitpicky thing. I'm being nitpicky, I should just say that. I'm being nitpicky.
That's fine.
But I just found her still, she didn't bring the sauce that she needed. But I think this is why I have a bigger problem with her, because I think Valkyrie was painfully underutilized. Like
that was one thing I was gonna say too. I think they really missed an opportunity to make Valkyrie more involved. She
should have been, in my opinion, the equivalent to like a second main character.
Yeah,
which is what Jane was.
Yeah, I agree.
Valkyrie should have been should have even had her own plot. Like really, you know,
she didn't, like, that's the one thing I wrote in my I don't like nothing really major jumps out except for the fact that like I found that Valkyrie was kind of just being whisked along, not really like didn't really have her own storyline. She was kind of just there. Her only her only thing that she got kind of to herself that I can recall is when her and Korg were just like having a conversation about like her being sad about her ex-girlfriend or something like that. That was the only time I remember her having a conversation that had nothing to do with like Thor and like what the mission was. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we didn't really know much. Like, we didn't get to see her as much, which is sad because the whole point of Ragnarok was kind of introduce her. And I thought Love and Thunder was gonna have her be more important, but I don't think she was that important.
That was like the whole. I was really upset because I actually really like Valkyrie as a character. I think she's super interesting.
Yeah,
I think she like always does the unexpected. Like, literally her character introduction is she comes down a freaking thing and then she falls over and you're like, wait, what? Like,
like, no, exactly.
She's like drunk all the time.
Yeah, and she has such potential and they didn't use
it. And I was like, if not, like, okay, fine, if you're not gonna make her the main character, like, I get that you can't maybe have her be as involved as Jane. You need her to have like a B plot, and I feel like they didn't even give her that. They really gave her like, she's kind of bored of being a mayor, so she wants to go on an adventure with Thor. Like, I feel like it wouldn't even take that for her to be bored as mayor. I feel like she would just go. Like, she'd be like, yeah, I'm down. Like,
you know what I would have liked maybe if she had somehow been involved in the last like fight with the kids or something, you know? Yeah. Because where was she during all that? She was just chilling at home. I know she was injured, but like still, she's a god.
She literally gets stabbed, and they're like, I'm gonna have to sit this one out. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what?
No, I didn't like that.
It gives me like when in Eternals when Homeboy.
Yep, I was just about to say that. It's like, when he's like, nah, I don't want to be part of this fight, and then he leaves, and then he's just not part of the final fight.
Yes, and you're like, wait a minute, what a minute, like, what are we doing?
No, yeah, it definitely was giving the same like energy where it was like, well, we need Jane to be in this fight, so Valkyrie, you're just not gonna be in it. I think if she was in it somehow, you know, like obviously this wouldn't work in the end because Jane has to like use her powers one more time to die, but I think it would have been cool if like. Just imagine like ignoring the fact that she has to die and this is what she has to do. If like instead of Jane coming, which is maybe what Thor like low key expected, it was actually Valkyrie to be like, hey, yo, I appreciate you. Like, you're always there for me type of thing.
Okay. And let me say this once and I will say it. I will say it once. Valkyrie, and I don't care how you interpret this, Valkyrie / Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth have great chemistry. It doesn't matter what chemistry they're doing. It could be romantic, it could be friendship. I don't care.
Well, it was giving enemies to friends in Ragnarok, so I think it's good.
So their on-screen chemistry is when she was like, "Are you having feelings?" I was like, why are you guys electric on screen? Like, stop.
Yeah,
you need to calm
that's what
down.
I'm saying. Like, they should have. Yeah, no.
So it's like for me to be watching, no offense, like Jane just being like, wah, wah, wah. And it's like the whole thing about her, but then they're like really gonna leave Valkyrie to the side, which is like, that's also my big problem with the MCU films in general. The Phase 4 ones. Sorry, to be clear.
Yeah.
The continuity and like forward vision is not there. I can see it.
That's what we've been talking about a lot. I feel like with these
since the
Phase 4 movies is that the cohesiveness of everything. And again, not every movie has to be like, obviously if it's an origin story, I can understand like Eternals, Shang-Chi, etc. I can understand how those, but tell me how Shang-Chi had more connection and more like felt more part of the MCU than other movies when Shang-Chi's supposed to be an origin story. You know what I mean? Like,
literally,
like,
no, you're spot on with that. Like, Shang-Chi felt like it belonged in the MCU, and a lot of other ones did not, like,
have been feeling a bit disjointed.
Yes,
that's been the running theme in Phase 4,
right? And I think that with Thor, I don't, like I said, all this stuff I do like. I still like them, but let's just take Love, right? This is the part I was going to say. Chris Hemsworth was seen in an interview saying like he does not want his children to be actors, actually. Like, he's not trying to make his daughter a child star. So and he's pretty much like, this is a one and done. So that means that they probably have to recast the actress to be older or just maybe another kid, whatever. Yeah. Most likely I think they would just get her to be older. I think that's easy to do, especially if she's young. But that means that Thor has to have Love in all his other movies, however she appears, probably. Which I think is cool, but I don't think they think that. Like, they're prepared. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, I don't think they're thinking that. I love it. I think they could be really cool, but I don't think they're thinking that. Okay? That's one. Two, why I think Valkyrie should have been really involved is because Jane dies, as we've all seen. So Valkyrie is Thor's new sidekick / like confidant, whatever you want to call it. So to put her as like on the back burner in this film is pretty bad, because you need her to, even though we already like her, like, you still need to bring her like character I don't know how to explain it. Basically, like, you should have, she needs to be part of the movie so that we are like, oh yeah, we want to see Valkyrie again, like in the next one, like Valkyrie and blah blah blah.
I find that she's the only character I find that didn't really have an arc. She kind of was just kind of floating around.
Exactly.
And she got stabbed. That's kind of all she did.
And I'm like, let's say, for example, this is the kind of stuff that in the future, if you want to do stuff with Valkyrie, like, let's say, this is really tragic, I don't want to put this out there, but let's say Valkyrie is to die in another movie, like later, like way, like, I'm talking the Infinity War version of stuff. You don't want her death to be like stupid, like,
you don't want people to not care that much about her.
Yes, like, you want
to be like, okay, well, yeah, I guess she hasn't really been doing much
impactful
lately.
Or like to the point where like you would care, even if it's not necessarily her, you care about how it affects other characters. Like, I would say personally, I'm very biased, I love Guardians, I love those movies, but I know that a lot of people perhaps may not be like, oh, I don't really care about Gamora, but I think they do understand that Gamora's death is a big deal to all the Guardians, because she's very involved in both the movies. It is her movies, but like, still, I think that's very clear. There's no if, and, or buts about that. I don't think they did a good job, for example, with Valkyrie with that. I think it was a real waste.
No, I agree. I think I liked her better in Ragnarok because her thing was that she was like really, like, she did not like Thor, and it was like a thing, and then at the end she comes around and like she had more of an arc, and this time I find that she was a little stagnant.
And she had like a relationship with Hulk too. Like, it even like was kind of giving, she has a seamless energy. She can kind of like come into anybody. I just felt like she's just good. Like, why are you all not? You're just like underutilized so much.
Sure. But they did definitely utilize her in the promotions, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's why I'm like mad. Like, the amount of interviews I was watching with Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth and like Taika, like all three of them together, I was thinking like, this girl must be in everything, like all over. Like, I actually thought maybe that the Jane was a bait and switch. And I thought maybe she actually wasn't going to be
cool,
right? That
she should have. Maybe Jane could have died like halfway through the movie or something.
I agree, and I think
like why are we better screenwriters? No offense,
sis. That's what I'm saying. It's like the ending was okay. Now I'll talk about the ending. The ending was amazing. I will fight for that. I will.
No, like, it was a good ending. That's why it's like, okay, it's like I get it, but the
ending was amazing. But I feel like you could get that same ending with what you just said. If Jane dies halfway through, or not even halfway through, let's say at the climax, like a little earlier than she did, let's say, and Valkyrie has to come through to, like, I don't know, pep talk. I don't even care what it is. Yeah. And then later he goes to the final battle, like, without Jane. Like, do you get what I mean?
And then he still he can still convince Gore to not do it, because he agreed to it because he saw them together. But like, all Thor would have to do is like give his little speech about what he learned.
He could be like, yo, like, the woman I love just died, like, and I still again would go through it again. Like, he could
like something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, he just talks about what he had learned, and that can like reiterate what his character has gone through and his character development, and then it could have still had the same effect, and maybe Valkyrie would have been there, and maybe whatever she had been going through, she talks about it too, and then Gore's like, okay, exactly.
She could have also made a little speech about like, like, my ex-girlfriend died in front of me, but I would choose again, and I think that would have been more like cool. I don't know. That's it.
Or just in general, how it was like, you're sad about your daughter dying, so how about instead of punishing us, it's like you have this power that you get to use right now, so like, you're gonna die anyway, so why not bring her back, and like, she gets to have that love and what, you know what I mean, like, exactly, like, find something
to show that like even gods, because his whole thing was like gods have immense power and they don't use it. And I think that would have been even better to show that like, gods have immense power, but we also like can't save people we love sometimes, or we like it's not as like black and white as like he's trying to make it out to be, right? Like, I think that could have been like a even stronger, like, just scene, message, the whole thing, and using your characters better. Because
I think Jane should have been. Now that you mention it, I think Jane being a bait and switch would have made a lot more sense, because she's there, she did what she had to do, she died, she made her impact, but then at the end, Valkyrie's importance would be highlighted, but that was missed.
Because I feel like they kind of did that with No Way Home. No Way Home was kind of a bait and switch where you thought like it was really gonna be like Doctor Strange, like him and Doctor Strange doing things or whatever, and we did think the Spider-Man were gonna come a little bit, but it was a big bait and switch. We thought the Spider-Man were gonna come
at the very end.
At the very end,
but then they came in.
Definitely,
sooner,
nobody thought the plot would be about Aunt May convincing him to turn the evil kids into good kids. Nobody was thinking
Nobody
that,
thought
and
that.
I think. Absolutely not. And that was kind of the bait and switch because we just thought, oh, he's gonna like fight these villains in the third act and we're gonna go home. Like that's what we thought, and then they were able to bait and switch us in a very positive way, in my opinion. And I think they could have bait and switched us again here, but
they didn't. But yeah, so, I mean, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, I think it was still a decent movie. Like I was more surprised walking out of it. I thought it was gonna be like, from what I had heard that thus far.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be way worse. Like people were acting like it was horrendous, and I was like,
really?
Girl, it's not that serious.
I think the only other thing I'd say, like maybe why people might be upset by it, but like I agree. I don't think it's like as bad as people are too much. I think it did have tonal issues the whole way. I do think that it was trying to be serious but not, and like not in a way that was like that worked 100%. Like I think what's his name, the villain guy? I was
Gore?
Yeah. Gore's whole philosophy idea is pretty dark if you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, yo, like you let people die and starve and you just stay on your high mighty horse and you do whatever you want. But at the same time, like the kids and like talking to the kids and giving like kid stories and like the whole love story and like that narration part, it sometimes did clash with the tone of him. Like I don't think it always worked like perfectly, and I think it did. I think they could have either leaned in way darker or leaned in way kiddier, because I think Gore was so scary looking, but as an actual villain, he was really not doing anything. Like we didn't see him.
He was just very creepy looking, but he didn't do anything crazy.
Like we didn't like. I was like the God Butcher. Like I was expecting him to slaughter them.
No, I thought he was gonna be butchering people, but we didn't see him butchering.
Like I really thought he was gonna eliminate a good chunk of them as guardians, sis. Like I thought, chop those heads. That's what I thought, but. And I didn't think he was going to hurt the kids. I never thought that. But I did think he was going to hurt people. And he really
I agree.
Didn't that bad. Like, he cut one girl's arm off. Like, from what we saw. Obviously, people were talking about
he cut Sif's arm, right?
Yes, he did.
But we didn't even see that happen. It was off screen.
No, we didn't. And it was, like, off screen and she's fine.
No, so I think, definitely they should have made, like, he was being corrupted by the Necro Sword, which is similar to how Wanda was being corrupted by the Darkhold. So they had no issue making Wanda snap necks or left and right.
Exactly.
But Gore, we didn't even see him kill one person, except for that one god at the beginning.
And all this makeup for this man not to really... Okay.
I'm dead.
Like he's literally dressed up to cause chaos and havoc. And they're like...
They dressed him up. They beat his face so well, just for him to be standing there and like tilting his head.
Literally beat his face for the gods. Like this is the definition of this.
No,
man.
that I agree with. That's what I'm saying. I think with this movie in general, my whole thing is like, I didn't walk out of it being like, oh my god, this is the best MCU movie ever. It's not even the best Thor movie. I mean, Ragnarok is still better, but 100%. I think because my expectations were so like people that I trust, like people that I like. Follow on Twitter and stuff like that I know they have like good taste in movies, were literally walking out being like, that movie was horrendous, like it was so bad. And I was like, what the heck? And I was like, damn, okay, like, you know, let me see. And then I walked out of it and I was like, it wasn't even that bad. Like it was fine, like it was good, you know. Obviously it was like, I didn't find it to be horrendous. Like I don't know, I didn't find it, but then again, like I liked Eternals, and the people who said that didn't like Eternals either. So it's like, you know what I mean, different tastes. But
I think we have the same like it's the same way Eternals went. Like I think
Eternals, like I didn't hate it. I don't think it's the best movie ever,
and I could see exactly why people didn't like it. And for example, let's say Love and Thunder is more up my alley. Like it's more going for stuff that I would probably like. Eternals is more serious.
I feel like I would be more, you know? I would rewatch Love and Thunder. Like, exactly. I wouldn't mind watching it again.
Yeah, I just think. Like I really think it had potential. Like why it should have been longer. I also think that's a thing. Like I don't like. I feel like it's one of the shorter MCU movies. If you really,
it is. It was pretty short. And at first, I was
Yeah.
confused as to why it was short because people were saying like, oh yeah, it's like under 2 hours. Or was it that one that was under 2 hours? I don't remember.
It is.
But yeah, and people, and I was like, damn, like that means it's gonna be not enough or whatever. But I can see why it was shorter because, you know, the plot, like there wasn't anything too crazy going on. Like it was like one plan and they were doing this thing and like it made sense that it was short. I didn't find like, I feel like if it was long, it would have dragged a little bit. So
it would have dragged. I just think the only thing is if you're gonna make Jane your girl for the film, maybe use some extra time to make her like, I don't know. Something like maybe, but I don't agree anymore. I like the idea where you said she like dies earlier. I think that's just good.
I think that would have been a good bait and switch because it's like it would have made it seem like she's gonna be like super important and go all the way to the end, and then they're like, oop, never mind, she dies now.
Yeah, because literally like Thor was one of my most when they just said, oh, Thor 4 is gonna happen, like that was enough for me to be like, I'm ready. But then when I saw the trailers with Jane, I was like, Jane, like I was, you know how he goes like Jane, I literally was like, Jane.
Yeah. Like, no, yeah, I see that.
I was like, blah, and I was a little hesitant. I was like, yo, like really, like you want to make this movie about her, really? And I was like, you know what, let me have faith in Taika, like. And I was like, at the end of the day, Valkyrie's still very much in it. She's not. That was rude. That was the bait and switch, and I didn't appreciate that.
That's so, like, I think that's the one thing. But yeah, I think my general consensus is that I liked it.
Yeah, it's
I didn't love it, but I liked it. It's still it was a fun, interesting movie. So
yeah, I still had a good time. Like I wasn't
like, I feel like with Marvel movies, especially, like, you know, of course there's been some good ones, but if you actually go back through the whole catalog, like there are a few that are kind of like not every Marvel movie is going to be amazing. Like that's just how it goes.
Yes.
But I feel like the one thing about Marvel is that you should walk out of the movie like still be like having fun. Like that's just what Marvel movies are. You shouldn't walk out of it feeling like frustrated or like annoyed or whatever, which is how I felt walking out of Multiverse of Madness. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep bagging on it, but that was like the biggest disappointment for me ever. But that's like kind of what the essence of Marvel movies is that you walk out of it and it's exciting, you had fun, and it's fun, you know, whatever. So that's, I felt like it really captured that for me, and it was nice to see after the disappointing one. So
yeah, like come on guys, Iron Man, like I love that movie. I came out having fun. It wasn't necessarily me being like, this is a critically acclaimed blah, blah. Like nobody was thinking that coming. And see, that's what I hate.
People do that when it's like, people are like, oh my god, you like Marvel movies? Like it's like, you know, like the pretentious film people who are like, Marvel movies are so like, they're not even that good. And it's like, okay, but you're missing the point. Like I get that some Marvel movies are trying to be like super serious and introspective and whatever, but like at the end of the day, they're like superhero movies. Like it's not that serious.
Like they're fun.
Like yeah, they're supposed to be fun, and like even if you go watch Infinity War and Endgame, which were like the critically acclaimed like cultural phenomenon ones, like they were making little jokey jokes and shit, like you know what I mean? Like it's still supposed to be fun. Like it's supposed to be a blockbuster. It's not a film, capital F, like you know what I mean? Like so it's like I feel like people are just getting their expectations all in a whack because now Marvel is like super mainstream and stuff like that. They think that all of a sudden it's gonna start being like, I don't know, like Martin Scorsese level shit. Like it's like, not.
It's like, which is like also like, if Infinity War and Endgame, which were like critically acclaimed films, didn't really get nominated for that many awards, like sis, we know that nobody's taking them that seriously. Like it's like what, like even amongst the film people, they're not taking it seriously. So why are you taking it that seriously?
Yeah,
like, we can watch it, we can acknowledge certain things are bad, good, like you know, the movies that we think are good and bad, but we could also go like, you know, if somebody had fun at it, like that's more than enough, to be honest, when it comes to these films, versus like maybe other films I'd be like, oh, having fun is not just enough, like we do need a little more.
Yeah, but and I think that's what made me annoyed with like people being like, the Thor movie was so bad, like they were just trying to be funny and like whatever, and I was like, but that's what it is, like that's what Thor is. And like with Multiverse of Madness, it was different because for that one it was like they just set up so much and you thought it was gonna be super, like it was more like they really set it up. I think Thor, the expectation you have going into the movie is very similar to what actually you're gonna feel in the movie. I think that's the main thing.
What you're gonna get out of it.
Where it's like I got what I thought I was gonna get. Meanwhile, with Multiverse of Madness, they were setting it up to be some crazy thing, and I got in there and I was like, huh? Like this is not not what I thought it was gonna be.
Exactly. And like you mentioned, even though I wanted something different, like the bait and switch, technically speaking, they gave me exactly what they kind of said they would. Like the trailer had Jane in it a lot, and she was in it a lot.
And I will say,
it was a rom-com.
The name of the movie, very accurate. Not Multiverse of Madness. Where was the
No.
multiverse? Where was the madness? It was nowhere to be found. But Love and Thunder, I thought that was such a cute, like, at the end when they're like, you have love
adorable.
and you have thunder. Like, it was so cute.
So cute. It's like, yeah, it really did deliver exactly what it said it would. I do still think they did, you know, Valkyrie was still a little
like,
shady.
there's still, obviously, it's not a perfect movie, but I think it did what it set out to do. That's what I think
it did what it set out to do, and it accomplished that, and it did that. And I think, you know,
that's
like,
something to be happy about. And I think I genuinely
cool.
I walked out feeling happy. So
so do we want to give us a
rating?
Give it a rating.
Are we doing a letter score or a percentage score?
I have a letter score, so I can't.
Okay, I will give it. See, the problem is my letter score is not accurate, because I could give it a score and then it turns out a movie that I like really loved in another episode that we did, I gave it the same score. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
My rating is not calibrated, so,
no,
so
same.
take it with a grain of salt.
I usually just give it one and then I explain like what was good, what was bad, and kind of.
I'll give it. I forgot what I gave Multiverse. I think I gave it like a C- or something, right? Something like that, or a C.
I don't.
B-. I don't know. I'm giving this a B+.
Okay, interesting.
B+.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, just a B+.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this film. I was teetering between a B and a B-. I don't know. It's really not a big deal, because I swear I gave like a bunch of movies B- all the time, and like, my range of liking them is very different. Like, it just even makes sense. Like we just talked about. I think like if I'm thinking like objectively as a film, I'll give it a B, because I do think it had a theme and it completed it as a circle, and I always love that. When you go from A to B very regularly, I just think the way they did it, I would have liked some other ways, but still they did accomplish what they set to do, and I think it was still well done. I do think they could have done a lot of things to get us to connect to it more, but overall it was fun, and it was chill. It was a
good movie. If you're considering, if you heard what people are saying and you heard the it's not so bad, but just don't listen. I think just go into it and see for yourself. It's
literally fine. Like,
it's fine. It's really like, not. Like, people are being so dramatic.
As like, honestly, because like, why? Even though we hated Multiverse, a lot of people did not. Like, it was like, I would say it's pretty split, the reviews. So like, sis, it's like that. It's really like that film.
Like just, really I think, it's better if you just go in and decide for yourself. Like, if you watch it and you think it was horrible, then fine. But like, just don't not watch it because some people said it was horrible.
Exactly. But if you if you didn't think Multiverse was horrible, then I don't see how you would think this is horrible. Like, I really feel like you'll just think
because I enjoyed it more than Multiverse. So if you liked Multiverse, I don't see why you wouldn't enjoy this one too.
Yeah, like, I think you'd be fine with it. Like, I don't see where you'd be like up in arms. Versus maybe if you hated Multiverse, I could see you could hate this too. Probably. Like,
but then again, listen, I didn't like Multiverse at all, and I like this one.
Yeah,
so maybe there's hope for you there. But we also, if you're listening to this part and you haven't watched it, then you probably just got your whole movie spoiled for you. So
which is not
whatever.
Because I feel like the ending twist is the best part. So like, that's the part I'm like upset with you.
Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you already watched it. So
yes.
Anyways,
so.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in for this week's Roasting Movies by the Fire. Hope you enjoyed it. You know the drill. Yes. Follow us on Instagram at FlickChicksPod. Like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I almost forgot about that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have some couple videos up there. We're hoping at some point, I don't know when, but we're hoping at some point to get some more videos up for you guys, video essays, videos, things like that. Hopefully you liked our Percy Jackson one. That one was fun.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well, so go.
Yeah, so make sure you subscribe to that. Go check out our videos on there, and, give us a rating, a 5-star rating on our podcast. You know the drill, all that jazz. Go do that stuff. And hopefully we'll catch you guys next time for another episode.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. Bye.